Hi everyone. We are in the same practice test I took in the previous video with practice test 1 on Bluebook, and we already completed the math section, module 1. Now, with using the same module, I'm going to move on to the next module, and we are also going to check our answers for the math section of this practice test at the end. So we're moving on. This module will be a little bit harder because we already did the first module. Okay, so it's asking which expression is equivalent to this. So you can combine like terms here. There's 2x squareds, which 9 plus 7 is 16. I'm going to speed up my talking here because I want to get to the harder questions. 16x squared plus 9x is going to be your answer. 900,000 beads, 828K are silver. What percentage are silver? Okay, so 828 divided by 900. 0.92. Use your calculator when you can. Okay. So if this expression is equivalent, is that, so what is value of 3t? So what we can do here is we can start distributing. So on the left, it's going to be 6t minus 20 plus t. And on the right, it's going to be saying the same. 40 plus 40t. So 6t plus t is 7t. 40 minus 40. I'm going to bring the minus 20 to the right. So it's going to be 7t equals 60 plus 4t. And I'm going to move the 4t to the left. So it's going to be 3t equals 60. So we already have 3t as 60 here. So that's going to be our answer, 60. What is the value of x plus 4? Okay. Now, here, what we can do is we don't have to distribute. What we can do is subtract x plus 4 from both sides, and 4 times x plus 4 on both sides. So we're going to have 5 minus 4 is 1. So we have x plus 4 on the left and 29 on the right. So there we go. We already have 29. 2-hectare park and 35-hectare residential area. Number of trees is this. Okay, so what is the best interpretation of x in this context? So this is going to be the total number of trees in the park, because 2 hectares. No, hold on. So 2x is going to be the total number of trees in the park, and 35y is going to be in the residential area. So if 2x is the total trees in the park, and we already know that 2 hectares, so it's going to be the average number of trees per hectare in the park, because we're only concerned with the park here because that's x. That's 2x, right? So that is going to be our answer, because 2x in total that's the total number of trees, and we're dividing by 2, so it's going to be the average. Ratio of length to width is 35 to 10. So if the width increases by 7, how much does the length have to? So the length is 35 and width is 10. Let's just say that's the length and width, because that's a ratio, right? If the width increases by 7, the length also has to increase. So it's going to have to increase by 3.5 times 7, because we have to keep the ratio, right? 35 is 3.5 times 10. So 3.5 times 7 is going to be 24.5. And so it's going to have to increase by 24.5. If the width, which is a smaller side, increases by 7, the length has to increase by 3.5 times that to make sure that ratio still exists. Okay, so given equation relates P and N is not equal to 0, and P is greater than 9. So we just have to express N in terms of P, which we can do by, so I'm going to subtract 9 from both sides. P minus 9 equals 14 over N. And then we can do a trick. So P minus 9 is on the left and 14 over N is on the right. We can just swap the P minus N and the P minus 9 and the N, because so now we'll have N equals 14 over P minus 9. So we're just essentially multiplying by N on both sides and dividing by P minus 9 on both sides. So our answer is going to be 14 over P minus 9. Yep. Okay. So for each increase in the value of x by c, the value of f of x increases by a factor of 27. One of c as a coefficient of x. Okay, so 1 of c is a coefficient of x, so we're trying to find what c is, because that's going to tell us on the a, c is 2, because 1 of c is a coefficient of x in this case. So if x increases by c, so say c is, we know 3, we're really looking at what the exponent is, because the number to the left of the exponent and to the parentheses doesn't really matter, because that's just staying the same. Whatever's on the exponent is what's changing. What the 3, for example, on a. So if we look at a, if x increases by c, so let's hold on here. Okay, so in this case, let's look at each problem. Let's look at each choice one by one. So if one of c is a coefficient of x and a, that means c is 2, right? So if x increases by 2 in this case, you're going to have 5 halves x. So you're basically increasing, if you increase x by 2, so 1 half x, and you compare 1 half x and 1 half x plus 2, so you're increasing the exponent by 1 in this case. And that won't multiply by a factor of 27. So a is out. So if you look at b, 3 to the power of 3 is, so you really just have the exact same thing. Let's look at c. That's 1/4. So c is 4. If you increase c by 4, if you increase x by 4. Okay, we're going to skip this problem. We're going to mark this for review. You won't immediately be able to solve problems again. So I'm going to skip because we're taking a lot of time on this. So number 9. Circle A has this equation. Circle B has the same center. Okay, so we're already going to use Desmos here. And we're going to write down the equation for circle A. So this is the equation for circle A. B has the same center. So it's going to be this negative 2, 5. The radius of B is 2 times the radius of A. So you know that B is going to be like with the center here is going to go this like that. So we already know the center is negative 5, 5. So if the radius is 2 times it, you're just going to do essentially this. The part on the left is going to stay the same because it has the same center. On the right, now we squared. So now, as you can see, the radius of the green circle is 2 times the radius of the blue. So as you can see, k, we're already finding this equation of b, where k is a constant, value of k is going to be 16. Okay. Owner plans to purchase same model of chair for each of the 81 employees. Total budget, $14,000, which also includes a 7% sales tax. The closest to the maximum possible price per chair before sales tax. So the 14,000 includes the 7% sales tax. So we have to, if 100 over x, we're using a ratio here. So 107. So 107 is just 7% more, and that's going to be 14,000, right? So 14,000, we're just using a ratio here to find the total budget before sales tax. So now we're trying to find x. And the good thing is it's already going to find it for us, but here what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to solve for x. So we have 13,084. So this is going to be the value, the total budget before sales tax. So we take this whole number here, we divide that by 81 because that's the maximum possible price per chair. So it's going to be this. So we have to convert it before sales tax and then divide. So there we go. Okay. So we already see two equations. So I'm just going to plug it into Desmos before even reading the question because that makes it a lot easier. Okay. And so we have these two equations. What is a possible value of x? So x, they intersect at a certain point, right? So this point is negative 15. So that's already point. Let's just keep looking. There's another one right here at 11. It's positive 11, not negative 11. So one of the possible values of x where they intersect is negative 15. I'm just going to check to make sure I plugged everything in right. And yeah, negative 15. How many solutions does that have? Okay, so we have Desmos here already open. So I'm just going to, again, when you have algebra, just use Desmos because that's the first thing you should try. Okay, so let's try this real quick. So 10, okay, so another thing we can do is just y equals 10, 15x minus 9. And then y equals negative 15, 6 minus 10x. So this will show you we're trying to find where the y's intersect. Where's the green? Okay, so we have 150x minus 90. I'm just distributing here. And we have negative 90 plus 150x. 150x. So the reason you only see one here is because they're the exact same. So as you can see, if you look at the decimals right here, they're the exact same equation. So you're going to have infinitely many solutions. So when this quadratic function is graphed in the plane, y equals f of x, its vertex is this, one of the x-intercepts is that. So when you have a quadratic and you have one x-intercept, the other x-intercept is going to be exactly the same distance, the x distance from the vertex as the other one. So you have negative 17/4 on one side, which that's to the left of negative 3. And on the other side of negative 3/6, you're going to have the other x-intercept. So I'm going to use a calculator here to find the distance between negative 17/4 and negative 3. So that's just so negative 3 is negative 12/4. So the difference between negative 17/4 and negative 12/4 is 5/4. So on the other side, you're going to have 5/4. So you're just going to be doing essentially negative 3, negative 12/4 plus 5/4, which is negative 7/4. That's going to be the answer. Again, the vertex, and you have two x-intercepts, they're going to be same x distance from the vertex. So that's our answer. Which equation defines function f? So this is y equals f of x plus 14. So y f of x is just going to be whatever this is down 14. So if you look at this equation and we try and look at the slope, let's look at the slope. So the rise is negative 1, the run is 4. So you know it's going to have a slope of negative 1/4, and the y-intercept is 2. So you just bring it down 14. You're going to have negative negative 1/4 x minus 12. And again, if f of x plus 14, you're going to get the equation on the screen. B is a constant here. Which following values of B will the equation have more than one real solution? So we have 4 answer choices. So honestly, the best way to do this is look at each individual answer choice. And this will show you so this looks like it has more than one real solution. Let's keep looking at the other choices. Because you have 2 vertical lines, which means there's 2 solutions. Let's look at negative 80. This only has one solution. I'll zoom out just to make sure. Yeah, there's only one solution here. And let's look at 5. I'm not even sure if this has a solution. And let's look at 40. Again, I'm not sure if this has a solution. So the only one where we found more than 2 vertical lines was A. So A is the correct answer. Each real number R, which of the following points lie on the graph of each equation? Okay, so each real number R. So every real number, there should be these points. So let's use Desmos. We're trying to find points that will land in both equations, right? So if you look at this, they're going to be the same equation. So they're the same equation. So what we need to find here is every real number r that's going to match this. So we know 0, 0 work. Not 0. We know 0, 7, 2.33 works. So that is going to be 7/3. So we know 0, 7/3 works. If r is 0, we know that's going to work. So the only answer that makes sense here is C, because we can try other points as well. So if we have 3.5, for example, if x is 3.5, that's going to be So we're trying to find each real number r, every single real number should have points that land that make sense in this. So let's look at a, for example. If a is 5, so you're going to have 8 and then negative 34. That is not going to be on here. If r is that doesn't suit this. So let's look at b. If r was 2, for example, it's going to be negative 3 plus 7. Let's use a different number. If r is 3, for example, if r is 3, negative 3 times 3 is negative 9 halves plus 7 halves, negative 2 halves, negative 1, 3. Is negative 1, 3 on? Yeah. Okay. So that's a point that's going to be on here. So the answer is going to be B. I'm going to speed up because we don't have much time. System has no solution. What's the value of t? Okay. So we're trying to find a solution that has no solution for this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to bring all the y's and x's to one side. So on the top of equation, we're going to have negative 16y on the left, and on the right, we're going to have equals negative 4x plus 2. So we have negative 16x, negative 16y on the right, left, and negative 4x plus 2 on the right. So then on the bottom, we have ty equals 1/2 plus 2x. So we have to find something that doesn't make sense. So here, t is going to be negative 16, because if t is negative 16, we can set both the top equation and the bottom equation right to the same thing. And that's going to be that. So we can check our answer here. Okay, looks like that didn't make sense. Let's try positive numbers. This looks like, again, sometimes you plug in answers. So what I'm going to do here is negative 16y. You're going to find two parallel lines, because that is what is going to be going to give you two lines that don't have a solution. So 4 over negative 16. Y equals negative 1/4 x. On the top, we have a slope of negative 1/4. We want to try and get a slope of negative 1/4 here. So we already have 2x. So it's got to be 2x over t has to, 2 over t has to be negative 1/4. 2 over t is negative 1/4. 2 over negative 1/4 equals t. And you know it's going to be negative 8. Sorry, positive 8. Those are going to give you two lines that are positive and they're parallel and have no solution. And as you can see on the Desmos, they don't intersect. Okay. Hypotenuse, isosceles right triangle. You have hypotenuse 58. What is a perimeter in inches? Okay, so there's a rule here. If the hypotenuse is 58, the legs are going to be 58 over square root of 2. That's just a rule of isosceles right triangles. So if you find the perimeter, if you add up the two legs, you're going to get 116 over square root of 2. And you're also going to have 58 added to that. So if you multiply it square, let's get the radical out of the denominator. So you're going to get 116 square root of 2 over 2 plus 58. So that's going to be 58 square root of 2 plus 58. What is the value of a minus b? So function f, 3 values of f. Okay, is f of x plus, so ax plus b. So this is a function. It's going to be a in ax plus b format. We know it's increasing by 64. So you know the slope is 64x. And then you know the y-intercept is going to be negative 64 minus 64 is negative 128. So A is 64, B is negative 128. So your answer is going to be D. The mean of these 9 integers is 42, 10 positive integers. So we have 9 integers from A. 10 positive integers less than 60. So if mean of data set A is an integer that is greater than 42, we're going to have to find the sum of the... Okay, so we know the mean of these 9 integers is 42. So the sum of them is going to be 42 times 9. 378. And you also have one other integer in all of the data set A. Okay, so ten positive integers that are less than 60, and you have a mean that is greater than... So I'm going to just try a random number here, for example. Okay, so we know it has to be an integer. It can't be a decimal like this. So if we try random numbers until we get an answer, it has to be less than 60. So let's go down. So looks like 52 is the answer, because 52, and then the total mean is going to be that. Again, 62 is also going to be an integer, but it has to be less than 60. Okay, speed up. $21 per person for the first 25 people. Okay, so you're going to have the total charge. So it's going to be 21 per person for the first 25 people. So that's going to be 21 times 25 is 525. If you know that n is greater than 525, you already know it's going to be 525. And then for the remaining people, let's say there's 26 people. There's 14 for each additional person. So if n is, so we're going to have 14, n minus 25 plus 525. So you're going to have 14n minus times 25 plus 525. Okay, so you're just going to have 14 times negative 25 plus 525. You're going to have the answer there. And this is going to be the last question, and we have to go back to the previous question. What additional, so the triangle LMN is similar to RST. So similar means L and R each have measure of 60, LN is 10, and RT is 30. MN, if MN equals 7 and ST equals 7, that won't work because, again, the ratio is 1 to 3 here. So MN, ST have to be 7 to 21 here. You can't have different angles because that doesn't make sense in this case. So it has to be 7 and 21. So we have left this question for review. So let's look at the bottom equation. 48, 27 to 16x, right? So if x is 6, increase. So the answer, we'll put D here. Okay, so let's go to the review page. I think this is our best shot. I think we've done as good as possible. Let's see what the results say. Okay, so the results have popped up on a different screen. I will show the results in a second.